They're gonna kill their Thresh for us. They must have really wanted that slay. And for today's video, I'm gonna change up the format a little bit. Instead of doing my traditional deck breakdown followed by 2 games, I'm going to very quickly show the deck, give you some reminders, then we're gonna play 2 games and I'll do the full deck breakdown at the end. So for today's video, we're gonna be playing Nightfall aggro. This has become a bit more popular in tournaments lately. For today, we're actually using the list that NicMakesPlays uses. And again, this is it here. It's Nightfall aggro. As for the reminders, deck code in the video description, link to Mobalytics in the video description. And also, I do use time tags for my videos. So if you want to jump around between games or the deck breakdown, you can do that as well. Final reminder, you should subscribe to my channel because some of you don't, and you should. It's free and it helps me out a lot. So again, changing the format today. I'd love some feedback on if you prefer it this way versus the traditional way. And now we're going to dive into the games. Nasus Thresh. This is another list that I really like to pilot lately. It's capable of some pretty strong starts. I think we'll keep this. Flight with its ability to come back means that we can likely use it as an activator in later rounds, but we can sneak the damage in. Finding Duskbringer is also nice as far as triggering those Nightfall activations. And so we'll go with a Duskbringer. Wouldn't be shocked if we see something like a Butcher here as well. No. Okay, I want to take this block still, I think. The question now becomes, what do we want to do this next turn? Because we could play this flight now and then still have options as far as like pedal into Guardian or pedal into Diana, something like that this next round. Yeah, I think we want to go ahead and develop this flight. And now, even better, we'll go ahead, play our top decked soldier into a Diana. She's still a ways off from triggering, but this allows us to hopefully make some more trades. Get some of these units out of the way. It's also the first Nightfall unit that's attacked, so we're a bit behind in terms of our actual Nightfall interactions, but that's okay. Sand Spinner here is not great for us because we don't have good ways to save her at the moment. Even if we give Sand Spinner a bit of a minus attack here as well, because we could develop this Nocturne. I don't think we can save her, but I think to do this anyway. I want the vulnerable on this unit, and I want to set ourselves up for next round possibly going goat into a Guardian. I say possibly because we are going to have to weigh the cost benefit of an open attack, simply because they do have Thresh available as an option. But since we have these Unto Dusk options, I think I'm still fine with going with a goat here. And if they play a Thresh, we can go ahead and just re-trigger the Nightfall here. Properly stalled to maybe catch me with a surprise Thresh, but we're gonna take the shot. Wow, they just straight up want to vengeance us. Well, you can't really dodge the vengeance. Get our swings in this way, but our Unto Dusks now are looking a bit rough. We're gonna have to hope we get something kind of nice off of this flight in future rounds, I think. But we're generating pressure, and I think that's also a bit of the important piece. Play a goat. 1 goat, 2 goat, red goat, blue goat. Well, that's really interesting that they don't even want to take this attack. We will happily move on to the next round then. Let's go ahead and get our Diana developed. This will also level her up. The question we have to ask ourselves now is whether or not it's worth it to even try to kill this Thresh.
Everyone's a god.
They're gonna kill their Thresh for us. They must have really wanted that slay and also the potential blockers given our goats. But in this particular instance, I think we're just going to do something like this. Now, they could have other units to trigger here. Well, I think we're hitting that point in the game where we're just going to be drawing the flight over and over again, but that's okay. Eventually, we'll draw other cards. There's another flight. I have faith that eventually we'll draw other cards. A Doom Beast would be wonderful. A Stalking Shadows into a Doom Beast has the potential to be game winning. So that's a big Nasus, which is actually kind of frustrating because we have no way to deny Nasus from leveling up, which is also going to reduce the attack power of all of our other units. So this is very unfortunate. I think this goes here. And then all things considered, I honestly just think we eat the 10. The concern about eating the 10 would be that we just die to Atrocity, which feels kind of bad. So I suppose we're gonna walk back that statement from earlier and say, let's not allow that to happen. Again, we just really want to find something like a Doom Beast. This is going to have to be the way that it is. I think we just pass. There's a consideration about maybe playing the gems now, just so you don't have to worry about it later, but I think here we're going to go ahead and gem one of these and play another elusive.
The new moon conceals you from our foes.
It gets us a little bit closer on our quest to find a Doom Beast. More slaying on their end. So right now we have 4 elusive damage with 2 draws coming from the flights. We could get them all the way down to 2. And then just go hunting for a Doom Beast. And I think I like that. I think what we want to do is gem up these. Continue to try to work on keeping their board relatively clear. Just kind of trust in our elusive damage to get there. There's another elusive enabler. But at the moment, we are just trying to survive against Nasus here. We're going to do this, I think, to pop the spell shield, but also give ourselves multiple potential blockers for Nasus. He's getting to scary numbers. And so the concern is if they have removal on one of our bigger blockers, and they are going deep into their deck. They're doing a lot of drawing here. But the concern is if they find removal for some of our potential Nasus blockers, we could be out of luck. And we just need to survive long enough to play a Cygnus. And so here's one way they can get those blockers
They will learn just as we did.
out of the way. But we still have, I mean, we lose this elusive unit, but we still have this available. Now they could play something like another spinner, in which case we'll drop a Cygnus. Okay, Thresh. So now they have a way to pull this out of the way, a way to pull this out of the way. And so we have to play Cygnus here. I suppose it kind of doesn't matter what we put Cygnus on at the moment. But the important piece is not only is Cygnus big, but it also makes Diana a potential blocker as well. So Nasus is going to eat our Nocturne. Thresh here, because of our Nocturne trigger, also can't kill any of our 3 attack power units here.
Fall to pieces.
I think I want to take this block because I want the gem for easy triggers this next round. Because what we're going to be looking to do is just re-trigger this. Because right here it says you ignore targeted portions. However, this should still be able to give itself elusive. And so we'll have 2 that we can send in that direction and hope that that's enough. And so we can do something like this here. And so again, we can't target with that, but we can do this as far as the open attack goes. All right, they got some mana that they are lining up. Could be like a Vengeance and a Withering Wail. Oh, just a Right and Negation and a Surrender. So there's one game out of the way against a really quality deck. Let's see if we can keep that momentum and win another. So this could be a bit of an ugly matchup. Shen Jarvan has a lot of mid-range power. I think we're just going to keep Flight. But this is a deck that has a lot of ability to control the board. So we actually might have to transition our play style a bit here. I mean, we're going to take this early elusive damage. But I think we're going to rely on a lot of upfront burst and then getting there. I mean, this forces the block because they're gonna have the ability to just kind of inherently crush us. So we get our flights right back. We're gonna play a Duskbringer, and if they pass, we pass. We'll just bank the spell mana. And again, go with our elusive array.
The eye of twilight sees all.
Mother Moon veil me.
Could also again develop this. I think double flight is the way to go.
Whatever the cost.
mean, they have the Shen, so I think you just do this. At some point, the big concern here is obviously Sharp Sight, so here it comes. It's going to eat our 2-3 almost assuredly. Oh, no, they just want to do that. Maybe they have a single combat for this. Maybe they have more Sharp Sights. Perhaps they just don't like me drawing so much, even though I just keep drawing more flights. But whatever the reason, it's kind of a gift, so we will accept it.
So I go.
Now we just let this through, but we're not out of the woods. I mean, obviously because of their access to rally effects, we'd like to see them go below 4, since most of these have transitioned to Aegis. Let's go ahead and do this as well. All right, so here I want to go ahead and play Cygnus so that we can threaten a bunch of elusive damage and then see what's up. I got concerted strikes, single combats, Sharp Sights. Again, you expect them to have an answer. We theoretically have lethal on board, but you expect them to have an answer. You just want to make them use them.
Nature blesses her followers.
We each defend our brethren.
We'll play one onlooker as well, just because that will force Shen to block there. I have 8 mana and 5 cards. So there's the concerted strike. We kind of knew something was coming. I think you still send this because, again, at least as of right now, Shen has to block this. If we get Shen down to 1, it makes it a bit more difficult for them to swing with Shen as we try to slow them down. Hey, look, we're drawing more flights. We're just in that cycle. We are in the cycle of flights. That's okay. At least at the moment, that elusive damage is kind of carrying us. So this says they might be trying to eat the goat.
And wisp. Steady my hand.
And that forces me to put Stalker in harm's way if we want to block. That's gonna, I think, depend on what we get off the stalking. Before we commit, I want to see. Oh no, they've got the Jarvan, so doesn't matter. They've got it. Here we will take this. I don't think I want more flights. That feels really bad. And so now the concern is Aegis. They have that exact 4 mana. They're going to be wiping our board. And we're going to play the non-ephemeral Stalker and the Flight this round, just so that we can set ourselves up with the gems to threaten lethal. So again, lots of potential answers that they have. I mean, we have to worry about all sorts of stuff, cataclysm, etc., etc. There's an argument to be made about slow playing it to get another elusive down in case they have those things. But cataclysm is a bit of a real problem. I think we're gonna take the slow play. I know I wanted to set up for the open, but a single combat or a concerted strike shuts us down, and I would like to avoid that. Kind of a shame that we still haven't found a Doom Beast. They're just passing the whole way around, so they absolutely have something up their sleeve.
Whatever the cost.
But if even one connects, we end up being like one Doom Beast away from being able to threaten lethal. All right, so this is not a great sign. They're gonna gain a ton of health here between that and the sharp sight that we know is coming. If they do that, it's either sharp sight or, again, it could be single combat, concerted strike, but they're still gonna gain a ton of health. Oh no, they don't have it. Wow, just posturing. So that's a victory. Okay, wasn't expecting it. Let's go take a deeper dive into the deck list and talk about the inclusions. It's pretty straightforward, but here we go. This list is a Nightfall list. It's an aggressive list, but it doesn't play like traditional breakneck aggro, at least usually. A lot of times you're trying to set up combo turns. You're trying to take advantage of cards like Diana, cards like Nocturne. I'm going to talk about the current version and then talk about like cheeky inclusions that you can opt in. So right out of the gate, we've got a whole host of 1-drops because playing cards that cost 1 are very important. It's an easy way to trigger Nightfall for you. And I'm running, again, this is NicMakesPlays list that he has posted on Mobilytics, at least for this video. But I do from time to time make some changes. So we have Duskbringer. This gives you the Dusk Petal Dust, which is great for later triggering Nightfall. Soldier is just a cost-effective unit in these regions. Onlooker is a 1-drop that you can use to trigger Nightfall, but it's also a 1-drop that you don't really usually want to play on round 1. As I said before, this is a deck that in many cases is a bit of like a combo deck. And so if you can actually hold on to Onlookers and then later plop them down when you're going for like a big Nocturne turn, you get a bunch of extra damage and you are reducing the enemy's board because you're playing a bunch of cheap units. But we run Onlooker. Flight is a nice recurring trigger, right? It gets the damage in and it doesn't stay on the board, but because it keeps going back, you can keep investing 1 mana into it as a setup for your Nightfall. Diana, this just helps you pull away blockers, kind of keep control of the board. Sometimes she can serve as a finisher when you use Cygnus on her, for example, because her power can jump once she's leveled. Shadestalker is a great aggressive unit. Good body, 2/3, elusive. Mountain Goat here trades very well, and because it creates the gems, again, 1-cost card. Gems are a great way to make sure you're triggering Nightfall, as I slur my words. Pale Cascade is just a fantastic combat trick. It's also got Nightfall, so it helps you with your triggers. Stalking Shadows, this is your primary source of card draw. We do also have Unto Dusk for card draw, but Stalking Shadows is how you're finding your units, and usually you're trying to find something like a Doom Beast because this serves as a finisher. It burns the opponent's Nexus and aggro mirrors because you can keep triggering Doom Beast in this list. You can keep playing them. If you get multiples from Shadows, the drain helps to keep you alive. So Stalking Shadows, primary source of draw. Unto Dusk is very neat in this list for a number of reasons. So yes, you can absolutely use it on Doom Beast to keep punching the Nexus and keep your health afloat, but you can also use it as a combat trick. For example, the Crescent Guardian here, when you play it with Nightfall, it becomes that 5/3 Overwhelm. If you use Unto Dusk on it, then it gets granted +2/+0 again. So you can use it as a +2/+0 on a unit with Overwhelm in that scenario. On Cygnus, you don't get to grant an ally elusive, but it's a way to give him elusive a second time if the first time wasn't enough to finish the game. Nocturne is a bit interesting. So when you have not leveled Nocturne up, you can also use it here. You don't get to do the vulnerable portion, but it will still give enemies -1, -0 this round. And that can, again, sometimes be a big deal depending on the board state. You can even just give Onlooker +2/+0 and Nightfall again for a round. Sometimes that's enough. So it's a very versatile card. It also draws, and it was a wonderful addition when it was added to the game. Again, Crescent Guardian, Nightfall, Overwhelm. This is an aggressive deck. It does what you want it to do. Doom Beast, kind of talked about quite a bit already, but this is mostly here for the drain and then just getting repeated triggers. And then at the top end, we have Cygnus as a finisher, as a one of, and Nocturne. So Nocturne is really critical in this list a lot of times, because once you get Nocturne leveled up, this is how you can kind of punch in as a finisher. Yes, you've got those Doom Beasts, but the reality is you want to get to a situation where you've got a decent sized board, or even if you don't have a decent sized board, you might just have Nocturne, but with a bunch of mana, you can play 2 or 3 units in a round, giving you the board, and then also reducing the ability for your opponent to block, because you have reduced the opposing side's attack power from playing those units. So this is an aggressive list, but it's versatile and you can play it a bit like a combo deck at times. It's got some good matchups and bad matchups like you would expect. Obviously, going into something like Freljord Control, you've got to play around avalanches and ravines, and that can be a bit of a pain. And Targon Mirrors are a bit of a pain because of Hush and their ability to just gain a ton of health. So those have been the 2 biggest pain points so far as I've been piloting the list, or variants of it. As we talk about variants, the 2 most common changes that I make are, I will sometimes include 1 Evershade Stalker, like this as a one of, just because this works amazing with something like Nocturne. And it can also work amazing with something like Diana. So Diana, once you get her leveled up, right, she gets this +2/+0 every time you trigger Nightfall. And this on Nightfall creates a copy in hand. So if you've got nothing else going on, you can just dump all your mana into 2 or 3 Evershades. These have Fearsome, so you're already kind of being threatening, but also you can make Diana's attack power skyrocket, and that could take a big body off the board. The other reason that this is nice, again, is because it's 1 card that's giving you multiple bodies. It's a great way to not blow your entire hand, but also make sure that Nocturne is reducing the attack power of the opponent's board when it's leveled. So sometimes one of Evershade is neat or included. And then the other one is probably not going to shock you, but I like to sometimes include a one of Atrocity, just because, again, between Nocturne and Guardian and Cygnus, you've got a good chunk of units that have a reasonable sized attack power, and sometimes, again, just getting that last 5 damage in is enough. I also like it because if you have a turn where you have a bunch of cheap triggers, right? So if Diana's already leveled and on the board, and you lead off with something like Onlooker, and maybe even like a Pale Cascade or a Shadestalker or something, it's not uncommon to get her up to, 8-10 attack power, and then suddenly Atrocity becomes really juicy in those late game stages. So sometimes a one of Atrocity, sometimes a one of the 2-drop, but that's it. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. As always, thanks for watching. I want to get that feedback about the new format. I think that this might be the best of both worlds, because I know a lot of folks just care about the gameplay, but some of you really do enjoy the deep dives and talking about inclusions in the list. So let me know. And until next time, may you walk on warm sands.